Over 2 centuries have passed since the skies above Ascalon darkened and cursed crystals blazed through the clouds, destroying the kingdom. Cities burned, the Great Wall toppled, and the land was left scorched and barren. The Char had finally dealt a crushing final blow to the Ascalonian defenders, who had resisted countless assaults and raids from the fierce feline warriors for centuries. Char claws have long left scars upon the walls protecting Ascalon, but the searing was a huge victory for them, and set the Char closer to reclaiming the realm from the humans. The Ascalonians have always been proud guardians of humanity in all Tyria, and they would not give up so easily, even in the face of such an apocalypse. Though only the fortress of Ebonhawk remains as the last bastion of hope for the kingdom. The fortress city seemed almost impenetrable, and the war between the legions and Ascalon had raged for so long that it seemed like it would never be resolved. An eternal war. Yet, like most mortal conflicts, change would soon come that would alter the direction and the destiny of Ascalon. The elder dragon Kralkatorrik awoke in the Blood Legion homelands and flew south towards the Crystal Desert. The dragon branded and corrupted the land in a large swath through the ruined kingdom, destroying Char settlements, military fortifications, and passing near Ebonhawk Fortress. This crippled the Char Legion's ability to continue their assault on the city effectively. The centuries-long conflict had finally ended, or at least that was the hope of the Crichton Queen in the allied kingdom to the west. The threat of the Elder Dragons was far more dire and potentially more dangerous than the human-Char conflict. The time for new heroes to rise up had finally arrived, and what better place than the searing forge that is growing up in Ebonhawk? The surviving people of Ascalon are noble and proud, as well as tremendously resilient. They are a people with a strong sense of honor and personal responsibility. Here, a guardian will be born. Here, a new Ascalonian hero will grow up and journey far beyond the Ebonhawk gates to help save all of Tyria from the threat of the Elder Dragons. This is Rytheniel's story.
It starts with bells ringing in alarm and char cannons thundering on the other side of the walls. Explosions wake the young boy from his sleep as violent vibrations shake his bed. Urgent footsteps echo loudly up the stairs, and the door to Ryth's room bursts open. His sister Deborah rushes in yelling, "Ry, wake up! Now, we need to go downstairs! Into the cellar!" She reaches for some sheets from the bed and a blanket from some clothes in the dresser. Ryth looks around in a daze as he gets up. There are echoes of muffled screams and yelling from the outside coming in through the small window. He looks at Deborah. "What is happening, Debs?" "What?" She cuts him off urgently, whispering, "I think the monsters made new machines." She gestures at the window. "Their bombs are making it over the walls. We have to go now," she exclaims as she bundles the cloth together. Ryth jumps from the bed, too confused to think properly, and stumbles to the door. Another explosion nearby rocks the building and making it shudder and shake. The boy trips and falls through the doorway and onto the landing before the stairs. He might have tumbled down the stairs had Debs not grabbed his hand to lift him up. I'm sorry, he begins to say, but she shushes him. The house creaks and groans with the force of the explosions. Luckily, the blasts were a street over, but still close enough to be a threat. Ryth looks around as they enter the kitchen area. It's exceptionally dark, and the only light from the windows comes from the flames burning outside. It is very difficult for the children to focus their eyes into the shifting light. It's likely that the light from the star still remains hidden behind the Blaze Ridge Mountains in the east. It is not yet morning, yet the Char assault is fierce and effective. Ryth and Debs make their way to a hatch on the floor by the pantry. It leads to the cellar. Ryth wipes the sleep from his eyes and his sister begins to open the hatch door. He asks, "Debs, how can the Char do this? I don't want to wake up afraid anymore." Debs tosses the bundle of cloth down the hatch and then pauses. She stares at the darkness in the floor, finally replying, "Mother used to say that they were monsters. Horrible, ugly monsters that sit outside all day, every day, thinking about how to throw rocks higher and higher over the wall." Another blast shakes the walls and dust falls onto the two children. They never stop, she continues. Never. They hate us more than anything in the whole world. A ceramic vase falls from the table and plates crash onto the floor from the cabinets as an explosion hits the house next door. Ryth whimpers as a heavy cloud of dust falls on them. His heart feels like it's going to burst out of his chest, and breathing becomes hard. Deb pulls him towards the opening so he can begin to descend the ladder down. He starts clumsily, but with haste, filled with terror. Halfway down, another blast shakes the ladder, and Ryth grips the rungs of the ladder tightly. He freezes, paralyzed by fear. Tears begin to drip down his face, hot on his icy skin, and he feels compelled to begin sobbing. Ryth looks up at his sister and asks, "Debs, why do they hate me?" Debs looks down, concern on her face, but it is hidden in the shadows. "Right, please keep going. It's dangerous," she says softly, but a bomb strikes the building and the door slams the hatch shut, interrupting what she was going to say to help comfort Ryth. The two fall down the cellar, screaming. The bundle of sheets and clothes softens the fall. Debs fumbles around in the dark for a while. Eventually she finds flint and a candle to light. Using the light, she begins to make a space for them to sleep. Ryth continues to sit on the floor near where he landed, crying softly. Debs finishes her tasks and returns to her brother saying, "Father used to say they were evil. The monsters are so full of hate, they became evil." She wiped her nose, cleaning the wetness from it. Ryth couldn't tell if Debs had been crying a little too. It was too dark, even with the candle. Evil? Was that the right word to use? Ryth wondered at what his sister said. Does hating something make you evil? Concerned, he finally asked, "Debs, do you hate the Char too?" She didn't respond right away, deciding to sit down first and wait a little. I don't like this either. I'm tired of being afraid, Rye, just like you." She paused again. A few tears could be seen on her face now. "Rye, do you remember the last big Char attack?" Ryth nodded. "Yes, parts of the wall fell on some houses and streets. People were sad after." Debs dried her eyes on her sleeves. "Danica, my friend, was walking to the leather workstation to give her father his lucky hammer that he had forgot at home that day." She let out a quiet sob. Her nose became runny. Ryth noticed how crying was just messy, like the pain from all the mixed emotions inside, a storm that overflows. She was crushed by some of the wall stones that were knocked off of it. I remember hearing the monsters singing and dancing loudly in their camp. It echoed off the mountain cliffs. "I remember you were sad, Debs. Was it because you lost your friend?" Ryth went to sit next to his sister. "Yes, but one day I want to leave these walls that trap us inside Ebonhawk. No matter how long we go without an attack and how safe it feels, the monsters always try to come back, and people like Danica die." Her tears stopped as her face took on a determined look. "I'm going to leave and fix this world. I don't want to be afraid anymore." The two siblings sat in silence for a while until each fell asleep. It seemed that the Char attack had stopped outside and the panic became quieter. Maybe the Char had run out of bombs to launch into the fortress city. The bells still rang an alarm outside, however, and people called out to each other, attempting to achieve some sort of order out of the chaos. Someone would come soon to get the children. The light of day had finally come to the city, now scorched and damaged, and soldiers were launching a counterattack on the Char. Even with this, the city was more calm, more silent in comparison. Another blast echoed across every surface in the city. The deafening sound was followed by a deep rumble that shook the whole landscape and woke Ryth from his sleep again. He was terribly startled and fear gripped his body. He could not move nor make a sound. Was he even still breathing? Thankfully, nothing followed that explosion and silence fell on Ebonhawk again. Relaxing, Wright rolled over to face his sister, who seemed to still be asleep next to him. A ruse, because she was clearly pretending. "I want to be strong, Debs," Wright whispered. "I want to protect my friends from getting hurt, and you too. I don't want the monsters to get you like they did Father." Debs furrowed her brows and made an unhappy face, rolling over. "Well, get back to rest then. You can start that guardian thing tomorrow." "I mean it. I want to be a guardian." "Maybe one day, but rest now. We don't know if the Char will attack again. Close your eyes while you can."
Brythe gently closes his eyes again, hoping to dream about what was beyond the Ebon Hawk gates.